Now we are at the peak. We don't know what happens in a week or two. Will it go down? This time we'll say it will not go down. We will be there. We will insist until changes are seen in the lives of these children that are affected, in the lives of their community.
I mean, just to start from there, Right Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. At least now we know there is hope compared to the time when we just hear there's a situation in Kitgum and would see on TV kids with the syndrome. But if you're telling us that there's hope, then I guess it is good to hear for all of us. But Honorable Speaker, before we move away, Rehabilitation Center, what happened to it? Because if indeed they were helping the people, the kids, and they really picked up, what happened? Why is it that this has been happening for, I think, almost a decade or so? We hear about the nodding disease, and then all of a sudden we're not hearing anything, and then it comes back again. What happened?
You see, Dr. Suzanne Gazda, she is a neurologist herself. She has a clinic that deals with these matters in her home in Texas. When she heard about the situation, she came to see what was going on. And then, looking at the children, she went back and sold her house to raise money to come and set up the center, there. And that's what she did. She set up the center, built it well, with all the facilities, the clinic aspect, the feeding aspect, and the therapy aspect, both psychiatric and also physical and all those things. Had nurses that were dealing with this and hired caregivers that would be able to support these children. Now, when she did this, it became a center for the whole world. Researchers would come to that place to see what was happening. That is how Dr. Lagoros got involved, because they are researchers. Dr. Lagoro had been working in South Sudan on nodding syndrome. So now he was there taking these people. The samples were being taken from there, because that was a one-stop center for anything you wanted to know about the conditions of the children, what happens to them, the characteristics that are seen in this. So she set up this center, financed it from the year that was set up, employed people. Like the one in Odek has a capacity of 100 people, 100 children. But they could only admit 40 at a time because of their financial capacities, the number of caregivers that are needed, the number of therapists that were required. So because they could not afford a big number, so they focused on 40 children at a time. What was visibly seen is that crippled children, when brought to the center, in a month, they change. They get up, they start walking, and they start playing. Some of those pictures you saw yesterday, where they were playing football, they were dancing and happy. And the families, of course, were relieved from these very severe cases, because they are taken away from their families. They only come and visit. Like that, the families were freed to go and engage with other things. Now, that was the really serious cases. Then they had a strong outreach program for children who are not so badly off that could stay in the community with their families. They would then set up this outreach program. People would go to do outreach, take medication, see how the support system within the family is functional, support them with even feeding the staff. And those ones were the ones who were already going to school. The first time I ever went there, the children I visited were actually at school. That was many years back. They were all at school. And then when the situation started getting worse, that's when these centers were built. So last year in February, she sent the alert that I don't have any money anymore. Can government take over this center and support these children? And that children, it's located in Omoro, but was not handling children from Omoro, children across from They were actually the majority of the kids that were in that center, because they were only taking the very, very, very severe cases. So the matter came to Parliament. I was in the chair. We said, well, can government take over this facility? If it cannot take it over, can it support it financially? Then the argument that started coming were not very persuasive to me. They say they are not going to support a private NGO. We're supporting private schools in this country. We have universal secondary education support to private schools because those are Ugandan children. They are our own children.
True.
How can you say because they are in a facility that does not belong to government, you will not support them? Does it make sense? No, that is where we started having these issues. So, February, when she first sent a message, she asked for meetings with the people. She never got any meetings. This president came. It came to parliament many times. And for some reason, all the time I was chairing, we took those decisions. Say, please see out. We personally arranged food from office of the prime minister to send there a few times to the center. And that helped them. But what kind of food was that? Not fortified food, certainly. They were beans, posho, and rice and things like that. Well, they were filling their stomachs, but in terms of therapeutic value of this was lacking. Imagine from February, March, April, May, up to December last year, when she eventually closed the center. That is something that we don't understand. So those two centers, because when she established this center, then she was persuaded, why don't you set up another center? That's how the other center in Kitgum was set up. Not the one in the hospital. This one was set up in a place called Tumangu. And in Tumangu, on one side of the road, there's a health center 3 for government. On the opposite side of the road, there's Tumangu Hope for Human Center. So all the children were being taken to these centers, the 2 centers. There's very severe cases. Now, when you hear some of the arguments that are coming up, that, oh, private things, but now I had with pain when the minister said they have set up centers, 20 of them in the health centers, 20 centers. And then they have set up 13 others in the health center tools. It sounds so good on paper and being said in Kampala here. But when you go down there, they are not there, they're not functional. The last of this thing that actually worked was in 2014. So the medicines are there. No question, the medicines are there. But the means of coming to pick them to faraway places, it's impossible. The outreach system just simply collapsed. It's not functional. That is how now they talk of, you see, in Lamour, for example, in the health center, the medicines are expiring. They're not expiring because there are no more cases, but because people simply don't have access to them. It's too far. The outreach systems have collapsed. The money that was used to buy, I think, vans and simply did not work. When you talk about these areas, you think they are like going from here to Mukono or to Entebbe. No, they are faraway places. Iganga, Jinja, some places as far as in Bali, in the same place. So how can a mother walk from Jinja to come and get medicine here? How can a mother walk from Entebbe to come and get medicine for the child from here? That's why the outreach system, the collapse of the outreach systems has really aggravated the situation. And it is sad to hear when these people come and they say 33 health centers, centers for it's okay for the media and for other people. But those people, when they hear these things, they really get hurt. And then they are also Ugandans like all of us.
I understand. There's a question from Jackie Oloya. What is the way forward in finding the actual causes of nodding disease or syndrome, since the researchers recommend that the conclusion of their work recommended that at the conclusion of their work in 2016, only putting the victims in the care homes will not solve the problem?
Yeah, but the researchers, that's what they're saying. The research is ongoing. Right now, I think they're doing tests on 200 children. They're giving, but this is now not really finding out the cause. They're trying to find a solution, but the issue is, how do you find a solution without finding the cause? They're now trying to see whether antibiotics, the name that they gave yesterday, could help the system. So they've put from what they say. I have not seen this, I have not verified this, because now it's almost becoming important to verify everything that comes from the Ministry of Health, because you never know what they are saying, or whether what they are saying is actually the truth. So they said, Dr. Idro said there are 200 children who are being examined and put on different kind of medication. There is, for 2 years. The result will come end of next year, towards the end of next year. I don't know whether this year or next year, but that's what the study is. Then they will determine how the affected children are responding to this kind of medication. But that is still not going to find out what actually causes it. So that research is ongoing, and we can only hope that a solution will be found. You had Dr. Lagoro yesterday talking about the Guam disease that took the Americans 40 years to discover what actually caused it. And when they eventually discovered it, they said it related to nutrition. What these people used to eat is what was killing them. Apparently there was some strait of stuff that it was in part of their meals that was affecting the health condition. It took them 40 years to do that. So is it going to be the similar situation with the nodding syndrome? Will it take 40 years? Will it take less?
Well,
In the meantime, 40 years or 30 years or 100 years, what do we do with children who are affected? Because apparently that phase will go away. Those children, when looked after properly, will recover, go back to their normal lives, and so on and so forth, while they do the research to find the cause of these things.
All right, thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I have two questions, but from Joseph and Emuli and Iam Kilama. They are asking, nodding disease hasn't just begun. Why have you started getting concerned, yet your constituency was also affected? It's almost the similar.
Yeah, but I've said that already.
Yes,
so we have been in this process since the beginning. Yeah.
There's also a question that why did the MPs from the north completely abandon the people they represent? Why did it take them this long to react to the problem?
It never did that, and nobody has been abandoned except the MPs don't have the capacity to finance these centers, to finance outreach programs. If you see, there has been a budget of 133 million every year. Yes.
For the
For it's a joke. It's a joke.
It is.
Yes. And if people accept that we choose to listen to what we want to listen to, but the debate in Parliament, there's not been a month that has passed in this Parliament since that time that the issue of Northern syndrome has not come to Parliament.
Sure.
So the MPs have never abandoned this thing.
Honourable Speaker, we've been hearing you asking questions. What should we do? Will it take 40 years? Will it take? What do you have solutions? Do you have recommendations? What
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Because, you see, there are things that are real. One, there are children that are sick. Two, there are families that are affected as a result of this thing. Three, the center that used to be help these children and the families have been closed. That's in the meantime. Those are the real facts on the ground. So what do we do now? Now is to have those facilities reopen and start getting functional. That's first thing. That must happen. Today, the Minister of Finance says today they are going to announce how much money they are going to, as an immediate emergency intervention to deal with this problem. I am waiting to hear what they are going to say. But that's okay. What happens next month? What happens in the short term, in the medium term, and what happens? That's why I'm talking about sustainability. Because this is not a matter for the members of parliament.
Sure.
These children are children of this country. So I represent people affected. But is it my responsibility to buy for them medicine, buy for them food supplements like I have been doing? Is it my responsibility? Where do I get the money to do that? We have a government in place. It has systems in place. That should be taking care of these things.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much. There's a question from Achiro Betty. It's almost the same. What are you going to do to ensure that this situation is put to an end?
Oh, yes. I am going to move mountains or die trying until a solution is found, especially children that are affected. They have to be looked after properly. Cause known or cause unknown. The existing children who are there and whose conditions we now know can be reversed through therapy, proper rehabilitation, I will commit my time to that fight and make sure that this does not go down, that nobody sleeps until these issues are settled.
Maybe just to understand, Honorable Speaker, is it affecting a specific age, or when are they born with the disease? Or
No, they're not born with the disease. That's the interesting bit, but also now the numbers keep changing. Initially, the numbers were, they say, between the ages of 5 to 15. That's what they say. But yesterday you had the minister now saying it is between 3 and 18. So now we don't know. Maybe next time they are going to say from months to 30. I don't know. But so we're not sure. You see, that's the problem. But what we are sure of is that they are sick ones. That one we are sure about. And what do we do while we are asking all these other questions to find a solution? What do we do with the people who are there? And we must not take our eyes off that ball, that they are sick children. And their sicknesses is affecting families. And their families, as a result, the community gets affected. What community intervention systems are we going to put in place? What support systems are we going to put in place to help the families that are affected, whose children are affected by this syndrome? And what support systems are we going to give to the children themselves who are already affected by this syndrome?
Like you had mentioned earlier, you had mentioned earlier that the family that are very poor, they're the ones getting the disease. And then if you have a child who is sick, you're not even doing other economic activities that will probably elevate them, but then they're now looking at the child. So I think there's a lot to be done around this.
Yeah.
There's a question from also Nuwahereza. Does it only affect Ugandans, particularly those in the north?
No, but I already told you it happened in Tanzania, it happened in South Sudan, it's happening in Northern Uganda. So I don't know. But the other thing is, say it is non-contagious. They cannot be transferred from one person to the other.
So you can have a family that has one child and the rest are okay.
Yes, actually it's true. You have the biggest family is a family that has 5 children all affected, and I saw them on Sunday. It's tough. It's really tough. 5 children in one family, they're affected. Others have 3, others have 2, but most of them have one child affected.
There's also a question from Alege Just. Yesterday it was clear that Ministry of Health has not been responsible enough to handle the Nodding syndrome. How can Parliament make the ministry get serious on this?
We are going to make them get serious on this, whether they like it or not. We'll be in their ears, we'll be in wherever they go, we will be there to make sure that they do the right thing to solve this problem.
There's also another question that when you've already actually addressed it, saying that the Ministry of Finance will respond today.
Yes.
And then what will happen next week and the other month? In the budget comes here, we are the ones responsible for approving the budget. Are there other mechanisms that you think as Parliament should address?
Yes. There must be money, not the joking numbers of 133 million. I heard yesterday the minister was saying, we are in the process of transferring 73 million. For goodness sake. And you even say that in public? That is something you should utter quietly in some private room. In public, you say you are in the process of releasing 73 million shillings for over 3,000 children affected. For that number of families affected, 73 million. How much fear will it put? Is it this? That's where the problem is. That's why you cannot support an outreach program. If, for example, we had 10 motorcycles, how much fuel would it take in one day? If you are really doing outreach. If you have vehicles, how much fuel would it take in a day? Move that to a month. And now probably this 73 million is supposed to be for a quarter. Quarter. Those are 3 months. Really.
Mr. Speaker, you have been lately seen very visible on the ground, visiting families and speaking and giving some items to those affected. Are there any other groups or individuals that you wish to work with, or have you contacted any? And if so, who are those?
Yeah, when these matters came up, initially also I've been supported. Each time I go there, I make it a point to go and visit these families. But this last time, there was this a group that makes more investments. They do fortified foods. I didn't ask them. I think they saw me on television and called one of them. Do you know this person? Can we get in touch with him? They got in touch with me, and they arranged for me 400 cartons of fortified food. 400 cartons. And they transported it themselves up to the point. They demonstrated how it is made. They ate it with everybody and then left. Now that is a kind heart. Now that heart that responds to a humanity problem. Because this is a problem of humanity. It's not a problem of Northern Uganda. And these people are not from Northern Uganda. The company owners are not from Northern Uganda. Mukwano gave me soap, a lot of it. I took it there. Kakira Sugar Works gave me sugar. And some people gave me other smaller things that I was able to take. In fact, the fortified food, we were not able to give all of them. We could not give all of them. And 1 carton of this fortified food, on average, can look after a family of 6 people for 1 month. 1 carton. So the ones that I have were about 430, actually, 430 cartons. So that should be able to look after them for some time, for a month. Then we do the second round, and like that. That is just because somebody offered. I couldn't buy them. I wouldn't have the money to buy because they're expensive. Each carton is about 62,000 shillings. Now you multiply that by 430. Where would I get that money? The soap that we were given by Mukwano is worth, I think, 5 million shillings. The sugar that is given by Kakira is also worth about 5 million shillings. And Amina, the industrialist who is working who's setting up this Atiak Sugar Works, gave us some support, which translates to the equivalent of about 5 million shillings also, or more.
Honorable Speaker, we have a few last questions, and one of them is that do we have the statistics of how many kids are affected in Northern Uganda?
No, we don't. That is part of why the recommendation that came from the mission that went, which I supported to go. And there was a misunderstanding. They say, oh, those who are opposition. There was no opposition in this thing. In fact, I am the one who arranged. I say, my friends, go down there and find out. When you go with the district medical people, the CAOs, the district chairpersons, the DISO, the RRDC, be in the same team with them. Remove any shadow of politics in this matter. Let's go and find out what actually is and come back. But they cannot establish statistics. But at least they can see that this health center is not functional in this respect. That one you can visibly see. If you go to Kitgum Hospital and you find that the room that was been set aside for nodding syndrome is empty, that one you can see. You don't need technical advice to see that a place is not functional. You just see it and see that the place is closed. So those were the things that they were. And we said no politics. But you see, when people are responding to that trip, They say, oh, that is opposition going there. You see, this is the problem we have in this country. Everything must have a political dimension. Even this is a humanity. It's not about politics, it's one. It's about human survival. How can you bring politics in it? So for me, I disappointed with those people who are calling this. In fact, I even got a phone call from a district. I said, I have received a phone call from somebody that we should stop these MPs from. I said, what? Do they know what they're doing? Stop who? I said, don't. Join them. Move with them. When they're with you in your district, move with them. Hand them over to the next district chairperson so they move together. We don't want misunderstandings about this thing. This is a humanity problem. It's not a matter of who belongs to which party. If there's shame, it's shame to all of us. Doesn't matter which party we belong to.
I think
Mr. Speaker, sorry, Mr. Speaker, would you at one point, from the actions of the minister in the House yesterday, would you at one point involve the president directly in trying to solve this problem?
The president is already involved. The president is already involved. Yeah.
There's also a question from one of our colleagues. Why is it that it has taken us this long? Like we've noted, the syndrome started many years. Why is it that it has taken us this long to really see that we have our children, Ugandans' children, affected, to put up a fight?
It has taken you this long, not me. Because for me, I live with them. I go with them. Okay? And you see, I want to thank the NTV very much, and Sudhir Biaranga, because it made the rest of you to know that there's a problem. For us, we are dying with it quietly. We are doing what we could, and you can see the support system that was being extended by government. I told the kind of food we are getting from OPM and sending there quietly to see if these children could be supported. So, but now, you know, and everybody knows, so that helps. But we have known this thing all along, and we have been struggling our own way. In Parliament, you were always in Parliament.
Yes, yes.
You have had the debate in this house about Northern syndrome.
Sure.
Last year was the hottest. Last year we had a debate where they talked of issue of, that's the first time they talked about accountability. And they said, well, accountability, you're talking about accountability when people are dying. Hold those responsible accountable, but support those who are suffering. That's what we decided. But nobody heeded to that. Even yesterday, they were still talking of accountability issues. Accountability of which money? 2012, 2013. The last release, 2015. That is the accountability they're talking about, which has stopped further interventions in terms of money to go to that area. Yeah.
Can then where the OPM has been giving us the food, like bins and stuff like that, can we then have arrangements and we get food supplements instead?
Yes, that's what we are saying. Ministry of Health should be supported with a budget for fortified foods, vitamins, and minerals that should be able to support these children. That this government can do that.
I can ask one of the questions online, but the ones that are coming in is that, do you plan to use your position as a deputy speaker to mobilize other resources, not just government, to support this cause?
I need to know what the government is going to do, and I need to know what the gap is. I have told you, I will move mountains or die trying. If there are gaps, that's where I will go. But I need to know what my government is doing to deal with the situation, because my own feeling is my government can deal with it.
Okay. Honorable Speaker, I think we will say thank you for joining us, and thank you for fighting and putting your life there as you've said it. And I'm hoping many people online, everyone has gotten to really understand what the Northern syndrome is and how it has affected Northern Uganda. But maybe for, the last conclusion from your side.
Yes, we want to be together. Join us in whatever way. And I said, this is not politics. This is human survival. Let's do what we can to support these children. No contribution is too small. Anything you have is big for them. So let's see how to support these children. There is loosely a term called Northern Syndrome Fund, a reference from the Ministry of Health to money that are sent to the districts, Northern Syndrome Fund. But the fund seems to be bankrupt. There's no money in it. While we move government to do what they can to support and deal with the situation, there are other issues of, maybe I shouldn't say this, but any human being has needs. And I told you these families are the poorest of the poor. Basic needs of a human being. And some of those we're trying to work on. The basic needs, the 5 basic needs. If you can come and support, we'll be delighted to receive and transmit. If you want to come, give it to them yourself. We can arrange. You go meet them and hand over these things to them yourself.
Maybe can we probably tell the people where the fortified food can be gotten, or what kind of?
More is a Ugandan company. Mm-hmm. They make these things in Uganda. Mm-hmm. So if you want to buy fortified food from these people and send there, that would be very welcome. We don't want money. Money usually has issues. If you can bring things in kind, would be delighted. But if you don't have a way of getting things in kind and you have some money, the problem is we don't have a system of receiving money, but we can just receive good things in kind, clothing, food, support system like soap, and all those other facilities that help people, sleeping facilities, mattresses, blankets, bed sheets, things like those, basins. There are 2 cups and plates also, because the water I took, you needed to mix with hot water. It's an instant meal. So you don't spend time firewood running around to do these things. Just hot water and able to make a meal in under. The longest time it takes is for the water to boil. Making it is in seconds and it's ready to eat. Yeah. So if you have these things, and we can arrange to have you give them yourselves, and the communities will be happy.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for joining us today. I'm very sure that the people have heard, and we will at some point get solution for the children of Uganda. Thank you.
Thank you. That is the best part.
You've seen his facial expression.
I saw.
I didn't smile. My hand was.
The man almost jumped.